Well, hello to all Cornerstars here in Santa Monica, and for the thousands of you joining online from all over the world. I am delighted to be joined on stage by a tennis superstar and just an incredible human being. Please welcome Sloane Stephens. Listing all of Sloane's achievements, both on the field and off the field, is a monumental task, but let me try. When she turned pro, she's won 8 singles titles, including the big one, which we'll talk about, the 2017 US Open, where she, let's just say, smoked Keys in that game. She recently added a doubles title to her trophy case, but she hasn't contained herself on the court. And what she does off the court is just as endearing and just as promising to all of us. Through the Sloane Stephens Foundation, which she established in 2013, she's used tennis and education to change the narrative around poverty, around health inequity, and educational underdevelopment, which obviously for Cornerstone is a matter of great interest and great pride, and hence the partnership that we formed. They're located just down the highway in Compton, California, where many of us will be joining her later today. Her work has awarded her the nomination for the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award this year at the ESPYs. She's recently started a podcast, if you haven't watched, called Sincerely Sloane, where she's joined by athletes, by entertainers, by experts in a lighthearted but very honest and sincere conversation. She's the executive producer of a new season of Top Class for Amazon, which follows 4 junior tennis players, all while still competing at the highest level of sport. And for those of you who know, she came back from Wimbledon last week, and she's headed to Atlanta next, from what I believe. She comes from a sports family. Her mother, Sybil, who I think will meet us in Compton, is rated as the best swimmer at Boston University. And her husband, Josie Altador, who I think my daughter has a crush on, amazing soccer player. We'll talk a little bit about what's next for Josie, because we're all waiting for the return of Josie. So again, welcome probably the busiest woman on the tennis circuit, folks, Sloane Stephens. So Sloane, let's start from the very beginning. Early career. What got you into tennis? And more importantly, in such a competitive sport where not a court is available for amateurs like me to play on weekends, how did you excel? What was the secret here?
Well, I think my mom secretly wanted me to be a tennis player. So in like 1990, she went to the French Open, like with a boyfriend. And she was like, my daughter's gonna be a tennis player. And I think ever since then, she was like, I really want you to play tennis. And when I was younger, we lived across the street from a club. And she's like, do you wanna try it? Do you wanna go? And I was like, okay, like, you know, tennis is fun. So I started in summer camp. And it was very, just like a really good time. My first coach actually was a professional player. He played on the Davis Cup team. He's from Puerto Rico. And he literally was the most fun person I'd ever been around, right? I think when you have like a really good first experience, it always keeps you going back. And my first experience was amazing. It was in summer camp, but it was like 30 minutes of tennis, and it was just like the one thing that I really loved and I enjoyed. And I think after that, I started taking a lesson every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. I was always late, and it was just something that I was like always looking forward to. I rode my bike across the street to go to my lesson. Like I really loved it. And I think it probably is the reason why I play tennis now to this day, is just because I had a really good first experience. And I also just like always had a good time. And I think that always takes me back now. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, why am I still playing tennis? And I'm like, because I actually do love it, and I love playing the sport of tennis. Like obviously in any job it's tough. It's like there's a lot always going on. But I think when you love something and you have passion for it and you actually enjoy it every day, like it keeps you going back.
Makes a big difference,
Yeah.
And fortunately you were in Florida when that passion developed, which is the home for some great tennis stars that we've got from that part of the world.
Yes, definitely. So we moved to Florida, and I started with one of the coaches that I worked with for a long time, a guy named Nick Saviano. He fixed my forehand grip. He told my mom that I was going to be like a great player. My mom was like, okay, sure. And at that point, I don't think it was like, oh yeah, she's definitely going to be a pro. Like I actually wasn't really that good until I was probably like 16. I wasn't like, you know, a lot of the girls when we moved to Florida, I was 10. A lot of the girls had been playing since they were 4 or 5, and I started playing when I was 9. So that was like very late. So I was kind of like a late bloomer. And I went to the Everett Tennis Academy for a bit, and across the street I went to a school called Boca Prep, because at that time, like, you do the whole like experience, right? You go to the school, you do half day of school, you go play tennis half day, like you do like a hybrid programming. So like when we moved there, we did that. That's where I actually met my husband. I met my husband in 5th grade. So he was also on that same path of like hybrid schooling, but he was playing soccer, I was playing tennis. We did not date or anything. It was 5th grade, so it was fine. But that is where we met. And yeah, like I think that when you're so young and you start in these programs, you know, a lot of people, they go to IMG or they send their kids to these academies and whatnot. It's very much like, it's very stressful for like a young kid, right? Especially like I wasn't that good, so it wasn't stressful for me because I was just having fun. But that's maybe probably what made me good now, like later on, because I wasn't under the pressure of like winning every junior tournament or winning every event that I played in. It was more of just like having fun, and I was one that wasn't that great. So it was like, my mom was like, okay, after the tournament, we're gonna get pizza, like we're gonna go get sushi. Like she just made it really enjoyable, and I think along the way, like just being able to enjoy every single part of the sport has been really helpful for me.
That's great. And you entered the tennis scene when 2 sisters had redefined what African American women could do to tennis, Serena and Venus. And was that an inspiration for you, or was there a reverse challenge that now you were in their shadow and being compared as you were playing?
No, I think obviously playing at the same time as them has been incredibly special, and then to be able to play against them, I think has been incredibly special. But sometimes you're just like born at the wrong time. Like I was like, man, like they're still playing, and then they played a really long time. So I was like, okay, you guys can stop now. I'm actually supposed to play Venus in an exhibition on Sunday in Atlanta, but I think playing against them has been amazing, but also just being able to experience, like obviously 2017, I played Venus in the semis there, and she was still playing incredible. And I was like, I don't think I think she was 37 at the time. I'm like, I don't even think I'm going to be playing tennis at 37, but like, it's just incredible to see how their journey of tennis has like evolved and how they've been able to maintain like such high quality of tennis throughout their careers. And I think that, again, just born at the wrong time, like they were just so dominant and so great, but I think everyone feels that way, right? It's not just me. And I think it's been incredible to be one of the very few African-American female players or male players to play at this time. Like obviously myself, Coco Gauff, Madison Keys, Taylor Townsend. Taylor just won the doubles title at Wimbledon. So I think we've had some incredibly special results like along the way where tennis really isn't a sport form for African-American players to really succeed, because it's a very high cost sport. It's a very hard entry level sport. Like all of those things, deter people from playing the sport. So yeah, like just very like grateful that I was one of those players that could make it. And obviously the millions of people in the world, and I was one of the people that could win a Grand Slam and play at the same time as Venus and Serena. Like I think it's just
and then so let's talk about 2017. You beat Venus, you came into the finals. Madison Keys, you played with her before, and then you won, what was it, 6-3, 6-0.
Yeah.
And the comment that best defines Sloane, there was an interview after the press interview, and this lady at the back asks her a very cliched question saying, now that you won the US Open, does it want you to play more tennis? And your answer was, girl, have you seen the amount of money I just made? Which I thought was priceless.
Yeah.
And I think the thing went on to say the most honest answer by any sports person in the world. Well, tell us a little bit about that. Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, 6-3 was good enough, and then you just went strength to cent and 6-0.
Yeah. Maddie is one of my like closest friends on tour, and in my life we talk literally every day. And I would say like before the match, we were standing like in the little tunnel, the hallway, and she was standing there with her coach, and her coach, I think, had like walked off, and my coach was there and a hitting partner that I had at the time. And they're like, okay, we're going to lead now. And I was like, no. I was like, we need to like pray because I don't know what's going to happen. Like, this seems very stressful. I was like, my butt crack is sweating. Like, there's so much happening. I was like, this is very, like, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have an anxiety attack. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. Right. And I think in that moment, like, I was like, okay, now I need you guys to stay here. And like, I feel good. Like, everything feels fine. But I was like, I'm very like stressed in this moment. It's just like, obviously the biggest day of my life, like the biggest moment until I have children or something. I don't know. But like, I was like, okay, I have to like figure this out. And I think going onto the court, like feeling those nerves, but also feeling like so comforted, like by my coaches, like, 'cause I was like, okay, don't leave me. Like, I'm so stressed out. Like, you know, and I think she at the same time was alone. And I was like, oh my God, I felt bad for her in that moment. I was like, oh my God, she's by herself. Like, but I always often think of like, if it was the reverse and I was alone and she had that support, like, would the match have been different? Like, would she would have felt that like right before we went on the court? And I think there's so many different things that you can think of, like if this didn't happen or you didn't beat this person or whatever, but we won, so it's all fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did well. You know, you play across three surfaces. You play grass, you play clay, you play, I think it's called DecoTurf, the hard surface. And you've gone on record saying you like clay the best. How do you prepare? How do you, I mean, what are some of the things you put in before a Grand Slam where you're playing on a completely different surface?
Yeah, so I think obviously on clay is like the most physical surface that we have.
Slide.
Yeah, definitely. It's the most physical. There's a lot more training. Like, obviously you can pull your hamstring, pull your groins. Like, that's like something that happens more commonly on clay. So you kind of just have to like get on the surface early, make sure you're moving a bunch, like doing different exercises in the gym. So like your muscles are prepared. Cause like on hardcore, you don't really slide as much. Like I think some guys do, like or maybe some girls do too, but I'm not trying to like pop my ankle, so I don't do it. But I think that like there's just like different muscles for different sports. So like on grass, you're like way lower, your knees are sore, your back is sore. Like it's just a different type of dynamic, which I think is interesting because it kind of, it neutralizes, the different surfaces neutralizes everyone's game differently. So it's always a challenge. It's always tough. Like now the Olympics are on clay. We just played on grass and then people are going back to hard court. So it's always, there's a bit of adversity in the surface change every year, but it's for everyone. So kind of just got to go with it.
Yeah. And then speaking of agility, so by the way we differentiate ourselves from our competition, we talk about workforce agility. And we say that to succeed in today's world, the people, the employees have to be very, very agile. The other adjustment you had to make is when you started playing doubles. Now, all of a sudden, from a very singular focus where your game is so different, you went and you switched to doubles, you won a bigger court partner. Now you're working off of each other. Walk us through that change. When you go from a singles game to a doubles game, what all do you go through at that point?
Yeah, so I have played doubles like in the past, like over my career, and I always like got stuck with like a bad partner, like it wasn't fun, like I didn't enjoy it. So I was like, I'm retiring from doubles. So this year I was like, I'm just gonna do something different. I decided I was gonna play like more throughout the year, and then I was gonna play doubles in every single tournament that I could get into. And I guess it worked out and it kind of didn't. I've never won a doubles tournament in my whole career. So this year I won my first doubles title, which was really good. And I've never been like a bad doubles player. I just, again, never found like a good partner, never found anyone I could play consistently with. So it was kind of just like, it was just like on the back burner. So this year I decided, I was like, I'm going to play. And before I retire, I was like, I do want to win a doubles tournament. So, and I want to get back into the top 100 of doubles, which to my like doubles friends like means nothing. But to me, I was like, this will be an accomplishment. So I did that. We won doubles, which is really great. But it's hard when you play with somebody else that you don't like. So I really like my partner. And she's great. She's 19 and she literally says the craziest stuff. Like, I don't know any of this like kid lingo or whatever. So she'll be telling me about like TikToks and like all of these things. And I'm like, I have literally no idea what you're talking about. But she's made it like really enjoyable and really fun. And I think that's kind of what has like sparked my doubles career, I would say. But in the past, again, I just never really played because I didn't find anyone that I really enjoyed. So that's important to me. And like just being at work again and like enjoying what you're doing is important. Which again, no one goes to work every day and is like, this is the best day of my life. But to be able to go and find something good in your day, and like the snack machine is full, like that's great, right? So I think like all of those things matter, and playing with someone that you enjoy.
Yeah, and that's Ashlyn Kruger.
Yeah.
You made a comment saying you prefer playing with younger players because when you were young in career, the older players were ignoring you. You said that. I have a link. And so that gets into mentoring. So for Ashlyn, you're a mentor, and you're giving to her what you wish some players may have given to you. And how important is that? How important is having a mentor? Obviously, you have a coach, you have a staff, but how important is that having a mentor?
Yeah, so I think it's very important. And I think when I came on tour, again, like Venus, Serena, all of these people were still playing, Sharapova, like, we loved them, but they weren't mentoring anyone. Like, it was very cutthroat still. Like, it was, the sport I think has evolved a lot in terms of people being super friendly, like hanging out, traveling, dinner together. Like, we have little like girls group. We have like Instagram chats and stuff. Like, there's just like so much more camaraderie like amongst the girls where there was before. Like, you would walk into the locker room 10 years ago and like people would be like in their own corners, and like you wouldn't dare like go in the like breathing vicinity of like Maria Sharapova. Like, you would be like, that's absolutely not happening. Now you're like, everyone's like changing on top of each other, underwear is flying everywhere. Like, it's just a different environment. And I think that like it's just easier to like meet people, talk to people. Like, everyone's competitive, but I think it's very much like on the court. Like, there isn't that like aura of like I have to be like have like, all right, like, you know, like, well, I can't say it, it's a bad word. Anyways, you know, you have like the wrestling face. Yeah, exactly. So I think people don't have that anymore. They're like much more open and like accessible. So I think being able to just be really friendly with like the younger group of girls is also comforting, because you like when you're 19 and or 18 and you come on to like into a new job and like you don't know anyone. These people have been playing this sport for 10 years. These people have made like $25 million. They're like, they're never going to talk to me. I've made like $20,000. Like, they're, you know, like you feel like it's like a high school type of thing. It's like, you know, like the girls group. So I think being able to just be friendly, talk, like I'd say like 2 years ago, I watched Ben Shelton beat Casper Ruud. Somebody here loves Ben Shelton, right? One of the girls. Yeah, you love Ben Shelton. I was watching Ben Shelton and he beat Casper Ruud, I think, in Cincinnati. And I was like, oh my God, you're the young man that beat Casper Ruud. I was like, great job. I was like, I'm Sloane, nice to meet you. And he was like, I literally know who you are. And I was like, okay, well, still, I was like, it's so nice to meet you. Like, I feel like not a lot of people would like introduce themselves or say hi, because then it kind of just like opens the door. So like next time I see you, you can be like, hey, like, how's it going, right? I feel like a lot of times people are just like afraid to even like have the conversation because they don't know if you're going to like say hi back, if you're going to talk, if you're going to like how you're going to be. So I think I like for people to speak to me. Like,
I'll tell you, Sloane, in today's world with intense social pressure, mental health issues, don't underestimate the impact you're having on people with your style. I follow you on Instagram, and hours before a match, you're like, check out my new swag, which is, of course, Cornerstone swag. So I'm liking everything. But, I mean, that dynamic that you bring in, when, you know, we've all grown up in the days of the Chris Evert and the Martinas and everyone else, where everything was very proper, very structured, especially that thing that went on at Wimbledon afterwards when you were greeted by the Duke who was there for 100 years and all that. You got to change that narrative. And on Instagram, I mean, you are just continuously out there. That must give you energy.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like that's just like the world we live in now. Like, it's changed a lot. Like, I think in tennis especially, there's so many like amazing traditions. Like, yeah, you win Wimbledon and the Duchess comes out and like gives you the trophy and like the whole thing, and you're a member of the club. And like, there's so many beautiful, amazing traditions in tennis, but there's so many ways that we've also adapted, and like just how players are and personalities are. Like, and many of you guys know like Ons Jabeur, like she's a really great player from Tunisia, but like she's very like, they call her like the ambassador of happiness or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, but like she's just a really great person. And I think like personalities are able to shine through more, and like you're just able to relate to players, and kind of like when you say like when you go home with the player, that's what they call it. You go home with the player, like you know about their lives, like you feel like you're attached to them, you feel like you know them, you feel like you like have like a small part of them in some type of way, which like makes you really like the person or enjoy the person. And I think that has like become a bigger part of sports just in general, especially in women's sports, like just women being more open and like interactive and, you know, just showing that side of like your life. I think that that's like been super helpful.
Yeah. So during a game, we all make mistakes. You have unforced errors. You wanted to, you know, hit across court and you hit it into the net. You've seen players react very differently. There obviously, we remember the McEnroe days, rackets being broken. We remember Serena, she had a temper. And there are others who sort of, you know, so do you cheer yourself up when something like that happens? Or are you the type who's saying, I can't believe you hit that shot?
It depends on the day. I feel like sometimes I'm like cussing in my head, I'm like freaking out, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, that was terrible. Like, I wonder, like, I don't know, it's my mom watching, she's gonna be like, your forehand's so bad, or whatever, like whatever it is. Like, I feel like there's just like different, every day is something different, right? Depends on who you're playing, depends on like the vibe, if it's hot outside. Like, there's just like so many different dynamics in tennis. And I feel like when you're in like a good way and you're consistent and things are going well, like it's just more like an even keeled like type of thing where you're not as stressed out mentally. But yeah, I mean, everyone gets upset. Everyone breaks.
Have you broken a racket?
Oh, duh, yeah,
Quite a
of
lot.
course, yeah. They're starting to give out like really heavy fines now. So you just like try to avoid it. Like at Wimbledon, you don't see that many people throw rackets because they charge you like 25 grand for like damaging the court. So like nobody does it. But like, if you saw, there's a kid named Rublev. He's really nice. He's just really nuts. And he literally like hit himself with the racket. And it was like such a huge thing. But like, he's literally nuts, like so nice. But like, he was like, I'm not paying the fine. So he's like, I'd rather abuse myself than like abuse the court because it's just too much money. And I'm like, but your legs are worth more than $25,000. It's like, what are you doing? But I mean, everyone deals with it differently. Like Rafa, you've never seen Rafa break a racket. He just doesn't do it. He's like respects his racket and his property and like it's like a whole thing, right? But everyone just has like grown up differently in different environments that like their rackets mean something different to them, right? Like for someone who's never paid for a tennis racket in their life because they've been so great at tennis, like it means nothing, right? Like if anyone you hear about a tennis racket, you'd be like, this cannot touch the ground, like never, right? Whereas you see pros on TV like break rackets all the time. So
and then you got someone like Djokovic where you don't know what he'll do.
Yeah. He's like going to be doing the splits and like all this other stuff and like maybe hit himself on the head with the racket. I've seen him do that before. Everyone's different. Everyone just has their own vibe. So it just depends on the day.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about one more light topic and then we'll get into your foundation. When Josie and you were both playing and then he was doing very well and you, of course, were doing very well, what was dinner conversation? When you all got a chance, because you're traveling all over on the circuit, you're back, did you talk about sports? Did you talk about life? Are you comparing notes? How was that going?
No. We like never talk about soccer because I don't know anything about soccer, literally, which is crazy. Just talk about normal stuff, life stuff. I don't know, just random things. We have a son, a 9-year-old, so like a lot of conversation is just like about him, like what we're doing. He's with us full time, so we literally do a lot of kid stuff. Most recent conversation is we're getting 2 dogs. Okay. So that's like what's being spoken about.
Is that like mutual agreement or is that one-sided?
Well, we're testing out like before we get to kids, like we're like we have a child, a 9-year-old. We'll try with dogs. He's like showing his responsibility now, like how advanced he is.
Yeah. And I know there was someone in the audience waiting to catch on to any rumors on Josie getting back into MLS?
Well, see, when he was traveling with me for a bit and I was like, you got to go back to work, dude. I was like,
there's that motivation of being driven out of the house by your wife. Yeah.
He's like, I love playing. He loves playing golf now. He has found a lot of different hobbies. And I was like, you have spent more money in the last 8 months than in the whole time I've known you. So you definitely have to go back.
You need to go back.
Yeah.
All right.
I was like, this not optional. We're going to find somewhere for you to go.
We'll wait for the return. Sloane, one of our corporate values is around shattering boundaries. As what we do with learning, we encourage our own people and certainly our customers that break the glass ceiling, shatter boundaries, do something that somebody else hasn't been able to do. Tell us a little bit about examples or anecdotes of sort of either ceilings or artificial boundaries that were created for you, and how did you go about shattering them?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think, like we said in tennis before, are we talking about in tennis or in life?
Connected, either way,
Yeah.
either one.
So I think in tennis, again, as being like an African-American woman playing a sport that is typically not meant for African-Americans to play, a very hard entry-level sport, and then playing at the same time as Venus and Serena, who have broken every rule and every like milestone, won every tournament possible. I think that coming behind them was difficult, but I think being one of the there's only two. Coco Gauff won the other U.S. Open. Like winning the U.S. Open as an African-American woman, and the only other people to do that is Venus and Serena out the like that to me was super special. I think for myself, like just personal goals, I was able to get my degree, and then I was able to get my master's degree, all while like playing tennis and traveling. That was really important to me. But again, education in my life has been very important. So that was like a big step for me. But for most people, like all of you guys here who are like very smart and do all of these amazing jobs, getting your degree is not that special. So like for me, it was very much like more than an athlete type of thing, things in my life that I was able to be proud of. I think being on a team, winning like a Billie Jean King Cup title for the U.S. was really important. Competing in the Olympics was really important. Like there's been so many great career achievements that I'll look back on one day and say that was amazing. But for me, I was just like enjoying my tennis and enjoying my life, and all of these amazing things just happened to happen along the way, which I've been incredibly blessed to experience. But yeah, again, playing at the same time as Venus and Serena.
Yeah.
Those are.
I mean, I know you know this, but once again, don't underestimate the impact that players like you, Tiger Woods did that in golf. There's just numerous stories of people of all races, religion, genders on. They start something, and then there's a movement behind them. Mm-hmm. So all of you are leading this movement. Absolutely. So you told USA Today Sports, I want to leave a legacy in tennis, but I want to do more. I want to do more than just say, I play tennis. What's that legacy look like for you, and what got you motivated to doing that?
Ooh. Well, you guys are going to see today. You guys that come down to Compton will see. I think for me, again, playing tennis, a very hard entry-level sport, like we've said, most people play a sport that involves like a ball that you can like kick around, or your friend can like be the basketball hoop and you guys play basketball and all those things. So tennis requires like a court, a racket, balls, a coach, like water bottles, this, that, whatever. And to be able to give back tennis to communities who necessarily would never even think about playing tennis, or even have in their mind that tennis is a sport that can be played in high school or college or whatever. Like, I think for me, that's been really important, just because education in my life has been very important and tennis has been very important. So just to be able to combine the two and give the kids down at the foundation, you'll see like my mom is there every single day. I've been there every single day since I've been back home, and just being able to see the families and the communities that we've impacted has been incredibly special. But to put rackets in kids' hands who would never even think about playing tennis, who now are playing on their high school tennis teams, who are now, like, we have 2 kids who played in the state championships for the first time ever for Compton Unified. Like, that's really big for us. We have 8 first-generation high school graduates in our camp that now actually work in the foundation and are actually all enrolled into your colleges. So that's like a really big thing for us. Being first generation, like college students, has been huge for us in our programming. And I think for us, it's not necessarily developing like the next best Sloane Stephens or the next best Venus and Serena. It's more about like giving kids the opportunity to see something different, to experience the world, to have different life opportunities, to value education in a different way, to value tennis in a different way, like just for your future, for your future job, for even your children, whatever it may be. And I think deep rooted in my mom and myself and everyone in my family, like it's been just like the top of mind. It's always something that we've always been really passionate about. And my mom's a school psychologist by trade, so she literally is talking on the phone to parents every single day. We also have a wellness center, which you guys will see when you come down. So we kind of like, it has transformed over the years of all the things that we do, but now the tennis and education part really coming together, all the SAT, the ACT prep that we do, the reading workshops we do, the essay contests that we do, just trying to better children's lives, especially in an underserved community, has been super impactful. But I think when you see it firsthand, all the kids that actually have been impacted, you're like, wow, this it makes a difference. This really feels good. And the other day when I was there, they were doing art therapy and they were like, you have to make these jellyfish because it makes you feel better. And I was like, oh, okay. They're like, this is our therapy. And then they all got up and were waving their jellyfish around and were telling me about how happy it makes them feel and how all these things. And that didn't have anything to do with tennis and it didn't have anything to do with reading or education, but it was them being able to speak about their feelings and talk about, what's affecting them or what's happening. And I think that's being able to change people's lives through all those different aspects has been super impactful.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You are now going to be an executive producer for a show called Top Class, working with 4 junior players, preparing them for, I think, the Orange Bowl. Mm-hmm. Tell us about it. Any surprises? What should we expect?
Oh, no surprises. Just crazy junior tennis, crazy parents. The parents actually we had were really good. Super sweet, super understanding. But I think people don't understand the aspect of junior tennis. When your kid is good and you're on this journey with them, half these parents have no idea what they're doing, which makes it even better because you're you're blind as a bat. You have no idea what's going on. And I think that being able to kind of follow those journeys and see what kids at that level are actually experiencing and going through, they're getting massages, they're doing mental health training, they're doing all of these things. And it's people are oh, they're just going to college. But even to go to college, if you want your kid to go to a really good school, they have to continue to do all these things. And I think following along those journeys and seeing them through the tournaments, one of them lives at IMG, one of them lives at home, one of them went to Harvard. And when I was living in Boston, I ended up seeing her all the time because she was on the show and then she ended up going to Harvard and I was practicing at Harvard. So just kind of seeing the progress and having other families and parents see how kind of crazy it is.
Yeah.
I think it's helpful.
That is fantastic. And then the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award, the 2024 ESPYs for your foundation. Yeah. Tell us, I know you referenced it, but tell us more formally the mission of the Sloane Stephens Foundation and what's your ambition? What do you want to plan to achieve?
Yeah, so we got second. We didn't win, but it's the second time we've been nominated. So hopefully next time we actually win. But it's okay. It still doesn't take away from the work and the things that we do. So I'm really pleased with that. It's always nice to be recognized for the work that you're doing, regardless if you win or not. So that's fine. But the goal of our foundation, we're tennis and education, and well, now again, we do a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, I think my long-term goal for the foundation, we do a lot of diversity camps. We do the after-school tennis, which is now it's summer, so they're doing summer camp right now. But we do after-school tennis and we do recess tennis. So all of Compton Unified took out recess probably 3 years ago, a little bit post-COVID. And so we put tennis instead of recess. So all of the kids can play on lined blacktops. They can play in their 20-minute recess. And that's been a huge program for us. And then, we do Saturday tennis, which is for our high performance kids. And that's all year round. So we do that all year round. And then we do other camps and things throughout the year. But this week or next week when I go to DC, we have one girl, her name is Mariana. You'll see her probably today. And she got invited to the USTA national camp to play. And 2 of our kids did. And for us, it's Mariana's never left the state of California. So this is a really big deal for her, going to DC, experiencing it, going on a plane, where most of us are okay, that's very normal. But for someone like her, it's this is a huge life experience, right? And I think being able to share and give these kids life experiences and let them go on trips, take them places, show them the world, even if it's one kid, she's going, but last year 3 kids went, right? So it's I think being able to experience that and also let other people experience it through the foundation is really incredible, all while making sure that she's still in school. Her reading grade level over the summer has maintained, all of those things. I think as a whole, just being able to keep up with the kids and make sure that they have what they need is really important. And I think, like I said, the foundation does a lot. Tennis is obviously, we would think, the most important thing, but it's definitely not, because I think just helping raise and be a village for some of these kids who really need it is really impactful. And I think just being like a small part of that in whatever aspect of their life it is, like, is impactful.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit, let's switch gears. Mental health issues that seem to be just dominating the landscape, and a very unfair position that I think we've put a lot of our kids in with social media, with peer pressures, and all of that. You know, I have a very personal story. Someone very close to me, his daughter, they live in Dallas, doing extremely well in tennis. She was coming up, she hurt her rotator cuff, and then she tried to kill herself. And just the pressure of suddenly becoming a no one overnight was too much for her to handle. And then obviously at Cornerstone, as a learning company, we try to spend a lot of time in helping, even through our own foundation. How do you deal with mental stress? I mean, I'm sure peer pressure, expectations, criticism, you know, everything you do is out there in public. Everybody's a paparazzi on the street as you walk. How do you put up with that?
Yeah, it's tough. I think, obviously, it's something that I've spoken about a lot. I also went to the White House 2 years ago, and we did this whole thing on social media abuse and how it impacts normal people, but also athletes and people betting on matches and all of these things. And I think no one, like, prepares you for your life to just, like, be different, right? It's just, like, you kind of, like, go into this world of, like, being, like, noticeable or recognizable, and a lot of people know you, and, like, you're a student athlete, and then you can be a professional athlete, then you can be, like, someone who just, like, works at ESPN, and you're also, like, famous and recognizable. And I think a lot of people are just, like, kind of go into it thinking that everything's going to be normal, and then it's like, whoa, like, this is a rude awakening in terms of, like, how people talk to you online, who has access to you, who can say what they want to you, like, all of those things. And I think this, like, generation of kids whose, like, parents have been, like, very, I wouldn't say unaware, but just like not tuned in to, like, what's going on. Like, my mom was like, oh, who are you talking to online? Or what are you doing? What apps are you on? Like, even now more so, there's so many more things that, like, I barely even know how to work TikTok. So I don't know how these parents are, like, keeping up with all of the apps and things, that how they're talking to people and all of this stuff. And when I went to the White House, it was interesting because it was a lot of social media abuse, and kids are not telling their parents, right? They're not communicating the pressure that they're feeling online, or the pressure that they're feeling from someone that's talking to them that's inappropriate, or whatever it is. And I think that, like, in tennis, we have a lot of bettors, so it's very different. It's people betting on matches, losing, and then, like, going crazy. Like, you lost me all my money, like, I'm gonna kill you, like, sending you pictures of guns, like this, that, and the third. Like, it's very intense, but everyone deals with it differently, right? And I think that being prepared, and now, like, when I feel overwhelmed, I'm like, I'll just delete Instagram. Like, I'll delete Twitter. I'm like, this is not the day for it. Yeah. Like, I already feel stressed out. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and, like, remove myself. And that's not that easy, because a lot of people, like influencers and whatever, like, their whole lives they make money online, right? You make money on the internet, and it's not that easy. But I do think that it has gotten, the peer pressure of, like, the online world has gotten worse. Like, if you're not, like, posting pictures all day, or, like, doing things that people can, like, comment on or talk about, like, that's, like, it's become such a part of our lives that it's like, who are you if you're not, like, on the interwebs?
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. And the algorithms in these apps like TikTok, it may seem innocuous, but they're targeting you. I mean, you know, at some point, legislation, just like pornography is banned till you're 18 or 21.
Yeah.
You know, social media needs restrictions. So
absolutely,
the positive spirit that you put out, everything I've seen, you know, whether you won a game or you lost a game, you know, your style and how you communicate, I think should help people understand that don't take everything too seriously. At the end of it, you know, this is life.
Yeah, life goes on. And I had a coach that, when I was, like, 10 years old, was like, these people don't matter. Like, nobody matters except for your family, the people who love you, the people who care about you. And he was like, one day we're going to, like, be at your wedding. And I was like, my wedding? I'm 10. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah, like, he was, like, very far beyond. But I think that, like, valuing the people that are closest to you, and, like, yes, I lost a tennis match, but I'm like, I gotta go home.
Mortal life,
like, I'm like, I gotta go home. I gotta check on my bees. Like, I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Like, I'm like, okay, like, it's okay. Like, there'll be another match next week, and there's another match the week after that. And, like, I think kind of like harping for too long on things that are just out of your control. You can only give your best and you can only do your best. And then whatever happens, happens. And then the next week comes. And like, I think like people just kind of lose sight of like, it's going to be okay. Like tennis is not the end all be all. And like work isn't the end all be all. And
it is, but.
I mean, yeah. I was going to say, actually, this work is, okay, guys?
Yeah, but mission. And the fact that you get to work with your mom every day in the foundation, that's I'm sure there are days, but for the most part, having your mom next to you, that must be a great feeling.
Yes, definitely. We've been there like every single day because we were like organizing the classrooms and we were doing all this stuff. And I was like, okay, yesterday I said, I'm tired, let's go. And she's like, no, we still have more to do. And I was like, lady, we need to go eat lunch and we need to go home. She's like, okay, fine. 10 more minutes. I'm like, why do we drive in the same car? Like, oh my God. So
things never change, but she's always been there for you.
Yes.
All right. So let's have a little fun. Let's have a rapid fire round. I'll ask you a question and you're to respond first thing on mind.
Okay.
All right. Let's get started. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. You've heard that before. Stylishly, aggressive baseliner or serve and volley?
Oh, aggressive baseliner.
I've seen that. Yeah. Are you someone who learns best from success or failure?
Failure.
Favorite Grand Slam circuit?
Well, the U.S. Open.
Because you won.
Yeah, but then French Open is like my second favorite.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. First call you typically make after you win something?
My family. We have like this little group, like FaceTime chat thing. Yeah. It's like my mom, my husband, my aunt, and my I have like 5 uncles, so like 3 of them.
Okay, the other two.
The other 2, they're out. Yeah.
Guilt-free snack after finishing a tournament.
Ooh, boba.
Boba.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I love like a classic like brown sugar milk tea.
Okay. Sherman Oaks, is that your
yeah, it's called store? Simplicity.
Simplicity.
It's in Bosu Ramen if you guys want to go.
All right. Don't all go. If there was a movie made on you, who in Hollywood would you want to play your role?
Ooh, Tika Sumpter.
Okay. Tell us why.
Her or Kelly Rowland.
Okay.
I love them. Sorry, you guys know them? They're so cute, right? Okay. Yes.
If you could have dinner with any tennis legend, living or dead, and spend a few hours chatting with them, who would you want to do that with?
Ooh.
Not Maria Sharapova.
No.
Certainly.
She's actually really nice. I would say Althea Gibson or Arthur Ashe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah. And one advice you would give Djokovic after he lost the Wimbledon? No.
You're doing great, old man. Keep going. Keep going.
All right. And then lastly, your favorite partner or sponsor in learning and development?
Obviously, Cornerstone.
All right. So we have a little surprise for you.
Okay.
Before we're done.
Okay. Ooh, this looks like a check.
No, it's just my selfie. Would like to donate $20,000.
Oh, wow. Thank you, guys. That's so sweet. Oh, you must know how much I love checks.
Yes.
Love that.
Figured that.
Thank you. The kids will love that. Oh, we should take that to the kids. They'd be like,
We will. Yeah, exactly.
They'll be shocked.
Yeah, and then we have 90 backpacks that the people here have put together, and having done this before, that look on people's faces when they get something. I mean, I know I heard the story. A lot of them, they use the same T-shirt. So it means a lot that we've had this opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So in closing, partner of Cornerstone, we are rooting for you. I'm going to be there at U.S. Open, and we are bringing customers, and we're doing a bunch of things. What's the message for us? What would you like to tell our people?
Love what you do and keep working.
I like the keep working part.
Yeah, I put that part for you. But no, I think it's really important to come to work every day with a good attitude. Like I say, being a professional athlete, it's not easy. You wake up every day and I'm like, I do not want to go to the gym. I don't want to do this. I don't want to whatever. But it's like, trying to find the little small things that make your day worth it. And I think sometimes whatever it is, like just try to find the good in your day and keep going, because you never know. Somebody at work may need you to be there that day with like a very happy smile on your face. You never know.
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for being Sloane Stephens, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.